around a stagecoach. I am here to keep from breathing in large chunks. And the only reason I do this instead of dust mask is because it keeps my glasses from fogging up. And it happens a lot. So, you know, and I can readjust it, and when you're not doing it, oh, it becomes a fashion statement. Hey, I'm super cool. No. Anyway. So, how many of you have used a flex shaft before? Most of you. Good. The flexible shaft is, how many of you used a Dremel before? Okay. It's a Dremel. It's a Dremel that just has a handheld piece, and then it has a variable speed control that's controlled with the foot pedal on the floor. Hey, look at that. So classy. Fordham makes a really, really nice flex shaft. Most people in jewelry use a Fordham as opposed to a Dremel brand. They're just really nice. These are particularly nice in that they go both forward and backwards. So they'll rotate in either direction depending on what you want. As the two jewelers in here are like, yep. So it's got a 3-jaw chuck in it. There should be a chuck key with every one of your machines. If there isn't, we will scare one up for you. Let's see. So with an aggressive tool like this, you are going to want to apply a fairly light touch. The harder you press, the more it's going to want to be like chatter all over the place. But look at how fast I took away material.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is in the boxwood, which, like I said, is much, much softer than the basswood. Pass that over for a second. Sorry, much harder than the basswood. That is what I meant. Let me show you what it does in the basswood, because it's not going to be nearly as clean. Doing a thing, making a mess. Do you see how it's raised all of that fuzz on the side there? And that has to do partly with the length of the fibers that are in the basswood as opposed to the boxwood. The boxwood is very, very short fibered. But it also has to do with the softness of that wood. It wants to just kind of give a little bit. The boxwood it's just a much nicer carving wood. So in general, I don't use the flex shaft tools with softer woods unless I have no other choice. And in that case, what I also do is I make sure that I'm using a burr that isn't super aggressive. Like this is going to work just fine on something as hard as basswood, as hard as ebony, as hard as mahogany, or sapele. Mahogany's not that hard these days. But if it's going to be something softer, I'm going to want to use something that's going to try to remove a smaller amount of material at a time, because the likelihood of tearing is going to be reduced as well. So this is, like I said, this is our most aggressive bit. The one I use the most, however, is this one. It's got a slightly finer cutter on it. This one, at the moment, is all gummed up with wood that I haven't really successfully cleared out. I was carving on ebony that had some wax on it, and it just was like, very, very effective. But this one is good for just about anything. You can handle the softer wood. It's gonna make a little bit more of a mess. It's not gonna be as nice. But if you're looking to remove a lot of material and still leave behind a halfway decent surface, this is the guy that I use. Get myself nice and anchored. So because this one has a much finer cut on it, I'm able to get more control over the surface that I'm leaving behind. Perceptibly here, there's no real difference on this guy, but it'll become obvious when I do it on the basswood because, all right, so this one little section here, I have now filed up to a degree of shine and awesomeness. I'm gonna pass this around real quick. I want you just to take note of what that looks like. In woodworking, when you're doing large scale pieces, if you're a particular kind of badass, you don't sand, you scrape. And there are these large pieces of steel, oftentimes shaped, that you will roll a burr on the edge of, polish it up, and then run it across the wood. And instead of sanding that surface, it slices the top little bits of the fibers right off. And it creates this absolutely gorgeous, super shiny, very beautiful surface. Fortunately, we can do something really similar in here, but instead of using oversized, outsized really cabinet scrapers in order to do that, you can yield this beautiful surface, or you can achieve a beautiful surface by scraping with your blades. I do not use my really fancy schmancy knives for that. I leave those strictly for shaping and carving. But when it comes time to surface something, generally what I'll do is I'll run the whole thing through, I'll get it filed and do whatever, and then before I am completely finished, I can take any kind of blade. Razor blade works really well. Utility knife blades actually work great because they have a little more meat in them. They don't want to flex too badly. And all I'll do is I'll hold it right up close to the end so that the blade itself doesn't want to vibrate. And holding it close to square with the surface, I'll just scrape. And in doing so, I'm achieving that same thing. I'm shearing that top surface of fibers right off. And what's left behind is this very clear, very dark, very refined surface that's pretty much ready for finish. And I'm really not going to get a better surface with sanding, unless I'm sanding up to like a zillion. And even then, it might not yield a better surface. It might just deposit abrasive in the open pores. And make sure that you're paying attention to your grain direction. If the blade is wanting to get caught while you're going one way, just go the other. I'll pass this around too so you can see the difference. Note the difference between this little section here and what's going on down here, because when I started, this and this were the same.